Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. The first photo appeared without warning, like a pebble dropped into the glassy surface of the internet. No press release, no countdown, just a mirror selfie posted at an hour when New York was half asleep and the rest of the world was wide awake. Gigi Hadid stood in a quiet bathroom, phone raised, eyes calm, expression unreadable. But it wasn't her gaze that made people stop scrolling. It was her hair. Gone were the familiar honey blonde waves that had become almost as iconic as her walk. In their place, a sharp, sculpted cut, dark at the roots, cool and unfamiliar, framing her face in a way that felt different. Not bad, not shocking in the obvious way, just different enough to make the brain hesitate. Within minutes, the comments multiplied like sparks in dry grass. Is that Gigi? Wait, what? She looks like a whole new person. Obsessed. Why does this feel illegal? By morning, the photo had crossed continents. Fashion editors zoomed in on every angle. Fans debated whether it was a wig, a role, a rebellion, or simply boredom. Hashtags bloomed. Hashtag new Gigi. Hashtag hairgate. From supermodel to stranger. Morning shows teased the image with dramatic music. Blogs rushed to decode what it all meant. But what no one knew, what no headline could capture, was that this moment had been quietly building for months. For Gigi, the decision hadn't come in a burst of inspiration. It came slowly, like the realization that a room you've lived in for years no longer feels like home. She'd been sitting in a stylist's chair in Paris weeks earlier, preparing for yet another show. The routine was flawless, the same soft waves, the same subtle highlights, the same compliments. Classic, timeless, Gigi. The words washed over her like elevator music. As the stylist worked, Gigi watched her reflection. She looked beautiful, she always did, but something in her chest felt flat, like a note that never quite rang true. "Do you ever get tired of being recognizable?" she asked suddenly. The stylist laughed, assuming it was a joke. "That's the dream, no?" Gigi smiled, but didn't answer. Recognition had come early for her, before she could fully understand the cost of being seen everywhere all the time. Her face had become a reference point, a constant. Designers knew exactly what they were getting. Fans felt they knew her too. The girl next door supermodel, the effortless beauty, the safe bet. But safety, she'd learned, can be a quiet cage. The hair wasn't just hair, it was the last untouched symbol, the final line between who she was expected to be and who she was becoming. So one night, after a long shoot and a longer silence, she called a trusted stylist friend and said 5 simple words. "I want to cut it." There was a pause on the other end. "How much?" Gigi said, "All of it." Then softer, "I want to disappear a little." The salon was empty when it happened. No assistants, no mirrors except the one in front of her. The first snip was loud in the quiet room. Blonde strands fell to the floor like shed skin. Gigi didn't flinch. With each cut, something loosened inside her. Memories, expectations, versions of herself she'd outgrown. The stylist worked carefully, thoughtfully, shaping something new rather than destroying something old. When the final look emerged, Gigi stared at her reflection for a long time. She didn't look like a stranger to herself. She looked honest. Back online, the world was having a very different reaction. Fashion Twitter split into camps within hours. One side praised the boldness, high fashion, editorial, a reset. The other mourned the loss of the classic Gigi, as if a beloved character had been written off a show without warning. "She doesn't even look like herself anymore," one comment read. That line stuck. What, Gigi wondered later, did herself actually mean? Was it the version frozen on magazine covers from 5 years ago? The carefully curated image polished by teams and trends? Or was it the woman who now stood in her kitchen barefoot at midnight, touching her hair and smiling for no one? The irony was not lost on her. In trying to reclaim herself, she'd made people question who she was at all. The buzz only grew when paparazzi caught her days later, walking through Soho in oversized sunglasses and a black coat. Without the familiar hair, without the expected glow, she blended in just enough to confuse people. A group of tourists walked right past her. One of them glanced back, frowning. That looked like... No, never mind. Gigi kept walking, heart pounding, then laughed under her breath. For the first time in years, she felt light. Brands, however, were less amused. Calls came in wrapped in polite concern. Is this temporary? Are you preparing for a role? Will the old look be back by Fashion Week? No one asked if she liked it. No one asked how it felt. She gave neutral answers. Let them wonder. In private, she watched the discourse unfold like a strange experiment. How quickly admiration turned into entitlement, how many people felt ownership over her appearance, how uncomfortable the world became when a woman they thought they understood shifted the frame. It wasn't really about hair, she realized. It was about control. The think pieces arrived next. One article framed the transformation as a career risk. Another praised it as strategic rebranding. A third suggested it was a cry for attention in an oversaturated celebrity landscape. Gigi read none of them in full. She didn't need interpretations anymore. She knew the truth was quieter and far less dramatic. She was growing. Weeks later, she appeared at a fashion event unannounced. The room buzzed the moment she stepped inside. Heads turned, whispers rippled, cameras flashed, searching for the angles that would make the new hair make sense in old terms. But something else had changed too. She moved differently, slower, more grounded. She wasn't performing familiarity. She wasn't trying to reassure anyone. If people didn't recognize her at first glance, that was okay. A young model approached her nervously. "I just wanted to say you inspired me," she said. "Everyone told me not to change my look. Seeing you do it so unapologetically, it helped." Gigi smiled, warmth spreading through her chest. "I'm glad," she said, and she meant it. By the time the internet's shock dulled into acceptance, something interesting happened. The same outlets that questioned her choice began celebrating it. Photo shoots leaned into the edge of her new look. Designers praised her versatility. Fans started recreating the cut, posting side-by-side photos with captions like, "If Gigi can, so can I." The narrative shifted, as it always does, but Gigi no longer chased it. Late one night, months after the original post, she scrolled back to that first photo. The comments were still coming in, slower now, layered with time. "Didn't like it at first, but now I get it. She looks powerful. Change looks good on her." Gigi locked her phone and leaned back, fingers brushing the hair at the nape of her neck. The buzz had faded, but the feeling remained, a quiet certainty that she'd done something important, even if no one ever fully understood it. She hadn't become a stranger. She'd simply stopped being frozen in place. And in a world that demands consistency above all else, that might have been the boldest look of all.